It's great to have Ian Castleberry with us, who handles a lot of, baseball and, of course, NFL with the Wise Guys. Each and every week, it is our NFL Gold Nuggets feature. Today, and it's presented by David Creasman and the gang at DC Creasman Jewelers. Well, Ian didn't realize Tim Tebow still had a desire to play in the NFL, but apparently that's just coming down today. Tebow working out with the Jaguars. Of course, Urban Meyer was his coach at Florida, guys, when Tebow won 2 Heisman trophies. So this is still rather interesting, Ian. Right off the bat, Tebow's 33, never played a snap at tight end. I know no one works harder than this guy, but is this a realistic move?
I think it is. Maybe not necessarily at Tim Tebow's age, but, I mean, don't we all think that he has a better chance of being a tight end in the NFL than a major league outfielder? I mean, he's got the body for it. I don't know. You know, we know he can run. Presumably, he can still run. He showed that he could get the ball as an outfielder when he was playing in the minors. He presumably knows Urban Meyer's offense quite well, considering any changes that might take place in the NFL. I think Tebow and Urban Meyer are also going to be neighbors, so maybe this was a way of making sure it wasn't awkward, when Urban took the garbage to the curb or something like that, make sure that, we gave you a shot. But, I think Tebow has a shot here. And, from a PR standpoint, the potential is enormous for the Jaguars, right? I mean, he's popular in Florida. The Jaguars fans have always wanted Tebow to sign with the team. New coach with Urban Meyer, they had success together in Florida. This potentially is a really good development and an exciting storyline for the Jaguars.
Mike, I can't help but think sometimes, and Ian just brought it up. I mean, he's laying out. Well, he's a popular player. He's a guy that Florida fans would love. But to me, it's always like I can't help but think he's still a bit of a novelty act when it comes to things like this. But he is 33, and as Ian said, look, he works his tail off. But I don't see any of the NFL teams chasing down Tim Tebow to be their tight end.
This could be just something we talk about today. Let's just, there's a long way from him working out. This might have been something he needed an itch to be scratched, and Urban said, okay, fine, and somehow it leaked out. There's a long way for him to go from here to making an NFL roster and playing in September. So it's to right now, it's just something interesting to talk about, but nothing more.
Mike Gore, I think you just said that'll be the answer of the day right there. Short, to the point, making lots of sense. I like Ian. I like your comparison that maybe this will no longer be awkward when the two neighbors come out to take out their trash. We're like, hey, buddy, at least you gave me a shot, and I appreciate that. But that was an eye opener today. I did not see that one coming. I don't think a lot of folks did as well. All right, Ian. Not sure if we saw this coming, but I think a lot of people may have. Antonio Brown, AB, is back with the Buccaneers. 1-year deal worth up to over $6 million with incentives. And Ian, what factors kept AB in TB?
Yeah, I think I was a little bit surprised, too. I thought Antonio Brown might use this as a springboard his past season to get a bigger contract with the other team. But up until last week, his legal situation hadn't really been cleared up. But I think Tampa Bay, after having Antonio Brown, they know he fits into their locker room now. They know he'll work under the circumstances that Bruce Arians or that Tom Brady want. And I think they really like his versatility. I mean, obviously the Buccaneers already have Chris Godwin and Mike Evans on the outside, but with Antonio Brown, they could move him around. They could put him in the slot. They could line him up outside. I think they even used him in the backfield a few times. And I believe he led the Buccaneers receivers in targets toward the end of the season, the last quarter of the season. And you could tell Brady was looking for him first during the postseason, especially in the red zone. So I think it was just a good fit. And maybe Brown was willing to sign for a little bit less because they gave him a break. We know Antonio Brown and Tom Brady get along. We don't know how he would have been a fit, say, if he went to Seattle or Baltimore or a team like that.
What can Brown do for you in year 2, Michael Gore? All right, so he's got more familiarity with the offense. As Ian mentioned, I almost said Tebow. Good Lord, Tom Brady, feeling more comfortable with him. I look at this as a Panthers fan as going, holy cow, man, if Brown gets it together with Brady in that slot, that's going to be a tough one to beat.
Well, the first thing Antonio Brown needs to do is stay out of trouble. Just stay out of trouble the whole season. Just stay out of trouble the whole season. Keep your mouth shut and stuff, and just stay out of trouble and just appreciate that only in America that he's on his ninth strike, and he has a Super Bowl ring. You think of all the great players and class acts that have come through here, and he's got a Super Bowl ring, after all he's done. So only in America, like as Don King once said, as we I've joked about. Hopefully he'll keep his mouth shut and just stay out of trouble and just let his talents do the talking stuff. And it looks like he's smart enough to realize he's got a good situation, and that for some reason Tom Brady likes him, and he's made the best of the situation. If it is, give Tampa credit, they took a big chance on taking him, and he could have very easily divided a locker room. And if he had pulled any of the nonsense he pulled in Pittsburgh, and the Steelers are a model franchise, and a franchise that people thrive in, and he wrecked that. He almost wrecked that franchise. So, for his sake, let's hope it works out. And for Panthers fans, let's hope he becomes a jerk and screws it up.
Yes, let's hope so. Because if he's got his head on straight, we're screwed in Carolina. All right, so as we're joined by Ian Castleberry on the DC Creasman Jewelers Wise Lines, and thanks to DC for bringing us our NFL Gold Nuggets feature, of course, 269 Tunnel Road, your one-stop jewelry shop. All right, let's see here. We'll get with Bridgewater here in just a moment, but Ian, some draft questions. At number 3, this is the big one. Does Mac Jones end up with the Niners at number 3, or maybe the Patriots at number 15?
I think he's more likely to go number 3 to the 49ers. Now, again, this might just be rumors and rumblings. We don't know what Kyle Shanahan's really thinking. And, of course, he's not going to reveal his thinking before the draft. But it appears that Kyle Shanahan prizes accuracy and decision-making in a quarterback, and Mac Jones represents the best of it, at least after Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson would be available. Trey Lance, he's not an accurate quarterback. I mean, there's less game film to go on. Trey Lance only played one game in 2020, but he completed, I think, 66% of his passes in college, as opposed to nearly 77 for Mac Jones. Now, Trey Lance has a more athletic component. He can run the ball. He was very successful with that in college. But the Kyle Shanahan and Mac Jones seems to be a better matchup. And you guys were talking about how the 49ers were keeping things secret. And we just wrote something about this at Awful Announcing, that the NFL wants the 49ers to keep it secret as well, kind of in the name of TV ratings, because we all assume it's going to be Trevor Lawrence, then Zach Wilson, but people don't know. Fans don't know who the 49ers are going to take at 3. They don't want it spoiled on Twitter like an hour before the draft or something like that. They want people tuning in to see who the 49ers are going to select at number 3.
Interesting. It's like a Bravo episode, a Real Housewives episode. It's like the drama continues. Wow, look at Goodell. He's like the Andy Cohen of the NFL. Where do you think Jones could end up? San Francisco or New England makes a run for him? What do you say, Mike?
I think he'll end up in San Francisco. That's been the rumor all around. So I think there's a reason why they moved up there, and I think this is one man's prediction. I think that's where he'll end up. Yeah,
I think Mac Jones is a lot like Matt Ryan, who Shanahan coached in Atlanta for years, and they actually made it to a Super Bowl. Should have won it, but didn't. As Ian Castleberry joining the Wise Guys, presented by David Creasman and DC Creasman Jewelers. It is our NFL Gold Nuggets feature. And the next question here, guys, could impact who the Panthers are able to take at the 8th spot. At number 5, Ian, do the Bengals take a receiver or offensive lineman, Penei Sewell from Oregon? Both those guys, it seems more Sewell, but you see Jamar Chase's name from LSU pop up also.
Yeah, the Bengals absolutely should take Penei Sewell. I mean, Joe Burrow suffered a season-ending knee injury. It was wrecked on a hit. You want to protect your franchise quarterback. So taking someone who could be the left tackle, for the next 10, 12, maybe even more years, seems like a no-brainer. But I get the feeling that the Bengals are thinking, hey, Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow were a great combination at LSU, and they do need a playmaker. Maybe they don't think they're going to be able to get one later in the draft. The Bengals, I get the feeling they're going to take a receiver, but I feel like they should take Penei Sewell.
Yeah, I agree, man. You got to protect your new quarterback in Burrow, and he's got coming off this knee injury as well, so he's not going to be as mobile maybe as he always was. Mike, which way do you think the Bengals will go?
I think they have to go with the lineman, like you guys have said. You've got to protect your asset. You just do, and it's not going. How many quarterbacks have gotten off to good starts and whatever, and they just haven't been protected properly, and they end up being bust. But you got to protect your asset. I think Burrow had some good moments last year. He really looked good for a bad team. They've got some weapons, but you've got to protect the guys. It's not a sexy pick, but it's the right pick.
I agree, but they are the Bengals, although I think this is the new Bengals, so we'll see where this one goes for sure. As we are joined by Ian Castleberry. Draft day, here we go, and so many questions. Unfortunately, Ian's got answers for us. All right, here we go. Ian, the Niners say they like all top 5 quarterbacks in the draft, but they only have one shot at them. Mike, you say it's going to be Mac Jones. You got Lance and you Fields as well. All right, Ian, so which way do you think San Francisco goes in this one?
I do think it's going to be Mac Jones. You made the comparison of Mac Jones to Matt Ryan, which I think is a really good one, and really underlines why Kyle Shanahan is going to take Mac Jones with that number 3 pick. Trey Lance, his athleticism, I'm sure that's very, very intriguing to many coaches, especially an offensive-minded coach like Kyle Shanahan. But I think he wants somebody who's going to stay in the pocket, is good with the ball, accurate with his passes, good with his decision-making. We've talked about for the past few weeks just the question about Mac Jones. How good is he really? Because he hasn't been tested. He had the best offense in college football around him. What's it going to be like in a situation where he doesn't necessarily have Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle outside, Najee Harris behind him? The best offensive line in college football. But Mac Jones does seem to check off all the boxes for Kyle Shanahan.
All right, so we'll see.
Yeah, that's been my. I think I've said it before, and we've all said about Mac Jones. He's certainly talented, but he faced no adversity this year. None.
Right.
I mean, I guess they're behind at the half against Georgia, and they won by like 20 points after that. So, can he lead them? In the fourth quarter, down by 7 points, can he come back? He might be able to. He just didn't have to do it in college.
Shoop talks about this a lot, and that is sometimes it just depends where a QB lands. And for Mac Jones, I think if he lands in San Francisco or New England, I think he's in a really good position to really become a successful NFL quarterback, maybe even a Super Bowl quarterback. We'll have to wait and see on that. But there's a lot to be said for that. And again, you hear Justin Fields' name being popped around. Apparently, there's a little bit of a divisiveness with San Francisco's the coaches and maybe the front office, the scouts. But we'll find out where it goes tonight with the number 3 pick. All right, Ian, we'll move on here. Does Denver make a move to grab a quarterback despite getting Teddy Bridgewater? More on that in a moment.
I think it's going to depend. We were talking about how the draft right now kind of pivots on that number 3 pick with San Francisco. If the Niners take Trey Lance, you wonder how that's going to affect the teams after them.
Right.
Atlanta probably will take Trey Lance if the Niners don't. But if Trey Lance is available, I think Denver might make a move to try and get him, whether it's trading up for Detroit's pick at 7, maybe even Miami's pick at 6. But I think Miami really wants Kyle Pitts, so I don't know if they're going to move off of the number 6. So I don't think that the Broncos will avoid taking a quarterback because they have Teddy Bridgewater and, I can't remember his name.
Drew Lock.
Drew Lock.
That's okay, dude. Half of the NFL fans can't name Denver's quarterback either. You're good.
Yeah, so even though they have Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock, I don't think that precludes the Broncos from selecting a quarterback, because I think with Bridgewater and Lock, you have a 1 to 2 year stopgap there to develop, especially if it's somebody like Trey Lance, who might need some time to develop before he's ready in the NFL. So, yeah, I think that the Broncos still could make a move, but it's not going to be a big move. It probably would be, 1, maybe 2 picks ahead from number 9. But yeah, I would keep an eye on the Broncos tonight, certainly.
Mike, you get the strong impression that the Panthers are going to stick with Darnold, and Ian will get with you more on this coming up. But from what I'm reading, it looks like even though Denver got Bridgewater, they seem to be more open to still looking at a quarterback, whether moving up or maybe Trey Lance could drop into. If Atlanta passes on Trey Lance, then who knows where he could end up. He could end up as late as 9 with Denver on this.
I just got to get a Bills reference in at this point. But, when the Bills played Denver earlier this year, back in December, a lot of fans out there wanted the Broncos to draft Josh Allen. And Elway didn't do it, and I think they felt, that was like 4 quarterbacks ago in Denver. And so it'll be interesting if Lance is valuable, if John Elway feels that pressure, like, we passed on Josh Allen, and that might have been a big mistake. And so now do we just go ahead and, take a chance on this guy? And it'll be interesting to see who gets Trey Lance, and if Lance Crackers comes back, and if it has the ad. Do you have Lance in your pants and stuff and everything? So.
Hey, now. All right, well, we'll see where this goes, because the Broncos are not really giving anything for Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, it's not like they spent the bank on him. They gave up a 6th-round draft pick, and Carolina's going to pay most of his salary. So I guess if Trey Lance is still available and the Broncos think that, the Lions may grab him and with Jared Goff there, give him a year or two to develop, that may roll there. We'll wait and see. Again, this is the drama. We're all trying to figure out what could happen. We don't know what will happen until tonight, of course. And I do want to point out, when you've got a quarterback that you're going to hold for a year or two to get experience or just learn the system or whatnot, now you've only got 3 years to really develop that quarterback, heading into, of course, their first rookie contract. And, you don't have as much time with him out on the field. We'll see, again, where this plays out. The excitement continues. And Ian, do you think if a Justin Fields or a Trey Lance lands at number 8, the Panthers will pull the trigger?
I think they could. I have heard reports, you guys probably have too, that the Panthers are really enamored with Justin Fields, or if Trey Lance is there, to have somebody with that athleticism. One quick point I want to make about Trey Lance too, that Mike brought up Josh Allen, and I've seen some reports that Josh Allen's development has really encouraged some teams to pick somebody like Trey Lance. If there are concerns about Trey Lance's accuracy, well, the same was true for Josh Allen, but Josh Allen was coached into being an accurate passer this past year. So some teams might say, okay, look, that happened with Josh Allen. We can do that with Trey Lance. But I think for the Panthers, it's going to depend on whether or not Penei Sewell is there, which I would be mad as a Lions fan, because I think if Penei Sewell's there at 7, I want the Lions to take him. But if a franchise offensive lineman is there, I feel like they're going to take Sewell over Lance or Fields, even if both were there.
Yeah, I hear the Panthers aren't nuts on Trey Lance. They are enamored, as you said, Ian, with Justin Fields. I'm hoping if Sewell can drop down to number 8, the Panthers do take him. Do you think, though, Carolina's in that kind of sweet spot? They can trade down as well. What do you think the chances are that could happen, Ian?
Oh, I think they're very high. I mean, I think they would want to trade down if such a deal is available. We're looking at New England, wanting to move up, reportedly to get a quarterback. Will one of them be there at number 8? It sure seems like at the very least Justin Fields will be there. Again, I think it'll depend on what the Niners do at number 3. But if Justin Fields is there and the New England Patriots or even the Washington football team want him, I mean, all phone lines are definitely open, and they could trade down, and they could still get an offensive lineman. They could get Rashawn Slater from Northwestern, maybe at number 15, or they could very well get one of the top cornerbacks, Patrick Surtain, Caleb Farley. They could also make a run, get Micah Parsons if they want another linebacker, Micah Parsons from Penn State. So, yeah, I think that the Panthers are in a really good spot here, I believe.
Yeah, I love it. Operators are standing by. If you're with the New England Patriots, press 1. If you're with the Detroit Lions, press 2. We'll see where it goes, man. I mean, Mike, the drama, I think, is the best part of this. And as Ian pointed out, the NFL loves this to death. By the way, Cleveland is the location tonight for the NFL draft. And look at your Bills kind of setting the standard there, Michael, and coaching up their quarterbacks. Pretty sweet stuff there.
But you got to be patient. You have to be patient.
Yeah.
You can't just. You might not be able to get Trey Lance in New York because that's not the most patient fans and media in the world. So you just have to. It has to be the right fit. You have to be the right coaches to just. You're just gonna have to live with that, and you got to. And the person too has to be ready to improve.
The right coach. I mean, that's the thing. You get in the right system with the right coach, you have a good shot to succeed as a quarterback in the NFL. All right, here we go. How about Michael's Bills? And Ian, I don't mean to put the pressure on you. Michael's right here, of course. But who does Buffalo take off the board at number 30? What are the needs for them?
Mike might disagree with me here if he's with the Bills thinking that the Bills need to improve their defense. I feel like if Najee Harris or Travis Etienne is there at 30, they got to take him. The chance to add a franchise running back, a 3-down running back who can run the ball, who can catch the ball, who can block as well. I know that the Bills' offense is effective, but gosh, think about how they would have done at the end of the season in the playoffs if they had an impact running back. And I think the opportunity to add one is there, and they should take it.
Michael, what do you say?
Absolutely, I agree 100%. And Brandon Beane, it's interesting, the Bills' general manager, who was a North Carolina native and such, and graduate of UNC Wilmington, but he kind of said, we don't have a home run hitter in our rushing game, which I think that kind of sent some tea leaves out there. And there's been a lot of talk the past week or so about that. The Bills really want the running back from Clemson, that they really want him. And so we'll see what happens. I think that's what they'll, because yes, they need to get better on defense. They need to get an edge rusher. But when you play Kansas City, you're going to have to outscore. Let's face it. It's be nice to defensively, you can do some things and stuff, but they're going to score points against anybody.
Yeah.
So you've got to be able to come with them every weapon you have, and you might win. You have to be prepared to beat them 45-41 because you're not going to beat them 20-17.
Good point, Mike Gore and Ian. That'll wrap it up today for our NFL Gold Nuggets, the NFL Draft Edition presented by DC Creasman Jewelers. Man, great job, buddy, and I can't wait to catch up with you on Monday. Lots of baseball headlines to get to. Thanks as always.
Yep, that'll be fun. Thanks, guys. And yeah, I hear what you said, Pat, about let's just get this over with. Enough of the speculation and the rumor mongering. Let's have this draft, and I think it'll be really fun to watch tonight.
The stress is killing me. All right, my man. Appreciate you. Have a great weekend, buddy.
Thanks, guys. You too.
You got it. Ian Castleberry, who, by the way, yes, writes for awfulannouncing.com, thecomeback.com as well. And you can like both on Facebook. Great sports and pop culture writing. Ian's appearance talking our NFL Gold Nuggets presented by David Creasman and DC Creasman Jewelers.